All right. Ooh, ooh, that's some light. We're gonna fix this light situation a little bit. Maybe that's something. There we go. Ooh, it's a little dark, but we're closer, closer. As you can tell, I'm mixing up my space, doing some different stuff. I set up a desk finally. Okay, guess I should start. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Full Blast. I am your host, Raja Burrows. I'm excited to do this. It's been a while since I've gone live, and done the thing. Especially because what I used to do is I would go live and I post on the Facebook group, and then people would come and it would be a whole thing. So sorry. Why? What? Okay. See, this is what happens when you don't get to edit things anymore, is forget how to do all the things. This is great. This is super professional. No, but I wanted this video to be a little more chill, a little more I don't know. I've missed the old vibe, is what it is. Because as I've spoken about publicly here, I quit Facebook in general, not just the OP Facebook group, but I quit all of Facebook, all of the Book of Faces, and it was a very, very good idea, really, really important, and I'm going to talk about kind of why that was so important, but also the challenges that have come with it, because there is something that really does map onto the science of objective personality, the trackability of objective personality, and also let's talk about what to do about it, right? So I have been feeling I would say this past week, I really started to feel it, because they just reimposed the mask mandate in Los Angeles, which is kind of a bummer, a little bit of a wet blanket thing, but it is what it is. You got to stay safe. Can't be super mad about it. And we did all see this coming, so again, can't really be mad about it. But it's really gotten me to think about the four human needs and what I, as a human, actually need in my day-to-day life. And I started thinking about it, and one of the biggest benefits of my life now socially, right? So I'm going to start by talking about this from what's going to feel like mostly a DE perspective, but maybe we'll get into a little later, like how to map it onto the other functions, right? But I was like, okay, certainly what I was doing during the pandemic, not even close to enough social interaction, like not even in the ballpark. And I've talked about this before, how for me being on social media, I was talking about it like McDonald's, but I think that Outback Steakhouse is a better analogy. And here's why. So the analogy, I'm just going to swap the names now. So social media for me is like Outback Steakhouse. I need a lot of social calories. I need a lot of social calories. The problem with Outback Steakhouse is that it's too easy to kind of accidentally eat way too many calories. Like, you can go to Outback Steakhouse and accidentally consume 3,500 calories, like really without even thinking about it. And the food is again, it's corporate, it's a chain, it's kind of they cook it in-house, but all of the ingredients come in like pre-packaged, and it's really salty, and it's just not The food, all things considered, is not great. Okay, fair enough. But during the pandemic, it was like all grocery stores shut down, and all we have are like Outback Steakhouse, Applebee's, and McDonald's. And you're like, well, shit. I would love to eat healthier food, but I need something. So we were all just like gorging ourselves on, digital connection and digital interaction. Again, because that's all we had. We knew it wasn't great. It wasn't good for anybody, but, we did what we had to do, So as I sort of was coming out of that and coming out of the pandemic in May and really being able to look critically at like, oh, these are the systems and these are the things that I've been opting into and this is what I have to opt into or not or whatever. I was like, you know what? Because again, I took a week off. I went to this wellness retreat and I was off of social media entirely. I was basically off my phone the whole time. I gave a couple of people proof of life, like, hey, I am alive and not dead. And then I did talk to a couple of people on my birthday because that felt appropriate and nourishing. And I wanted to like celebrate this milestone with the people around me. And that felt like a good, healthy use of social media for sure. But, I didn't go on the Facebook group. I didn't go on any Facebook group. I didn't do anything. And I was just with the people I was around, my little cohort of people, of, the people who were in my wellness group, and we went to lectures together and we ate dinners together. And it was fucking amazing. It was like the greatest feeling ever. And I was like, okay, this is it. This is how I just need to socialize. This is how I am built to socialize. And I quit Facebook and I wrote a whole long thing, and I don't regret it. I don't regret quitting Facebook because it was so easy for me to overeat. And it was really easy for me to feel like I was never going to get enough because I wasn't getting all of like the nutrients I was getting were not efficient, right? So to get all of the nutrients that I actually needed to sustain myself, I had to, like, if I needed, let's just say 2,100 calories of nourishment, right? In order to get those 2,100 calories of nourishment, I'd also have to eat another 2,100 calories of just garbage. And like, I was like, I can't do that. My body can't process this. My brain cannot process all of this all of this stimulus that I'm getting. And so I quit and it was great. And I was like, let me like really pare down these interactions. Let me pare down the people with whom I am interacting and make sure that I'm like really focusing on the quality of the socializing I'm getting. And it's been great. Oh my God, the people with whom I interact now are extraordinary. They're so deeply nourishing and wonderful. But it's basically like just eating Brussels sprouts and Kobe beef, right? Because there are basically two people who I interact with, like in real life, in person, in any sort of meaningful, not purely transactional capacity, which is a girlfriend and my trainer. And the real problem is that I'm only getting like 900, 1,000 calories from the two of them. Like there's only so much you can get from Brussels sprouts and Kobe, even if they're organic, amazing Brussels sprouts. and like the most amazing cut of Kobe beef that you've ever had in your life, that's like marbled and it's super packed with nutrients and the meat is really good and there's a balance. Like I'm getting the carbohydrates and I'm getting the fat and I'm getting the protein, like I'm getting my macros, but the calorie count is just, it's simply too low. And that's where I've been really feeling this, like, oh, what am I doing? How does this go? How do I navigate this? And it really brought into sharp relief this whole idea of like human needs, but also the savior addiction. And it started to get me to think about like, there are a lot of different places that savior addiction can come from. It is not just a fear of doing your demons at all. That can be some of it. Absolutely, 100%. If you're just eating French fries all the time, well then, yeah, I don't know, eat some chicken, have a protein shake, eat some vegetable. Like, yes, obviously that's bad for you. Maybe look at that. But I think that savior addiction can also come even when you are trying to do the right thing. And I can feel myself in this state of, I'm just not getting enough calories in my social life, right? The whole spectrum of how I socialize and who I socialize with, it's just not enough calories. Even though the calories I'm getting are incredibly efficient and very good for me, there's too much of a caloric deficit. And it's causing me to have to preserve more energy and not be able to expend energy because I'm not getting that energy, right, to begin with. And what I really started to feel very acutely yesterday was like, social media it enabled me to overeat. And it was the kind of thing where there was no way for me to get the right amount, because it was sort of like, well, you start at 2,000 calories. Like, it's again, not impossible, but it takes an insane amount of effort to, if you go to Outback Steakhouse, to only eat even like 1,500 calories. Like, there just aren't that many low calorie options on the menu. And the ones that are tend to not have a lot of nutritional variety. They tend to not be very nutrient dense. And they also tend to be really boring. They tend to be very bland. Like, you're not eating a bloomin' onion. And you're not eating a nice buttery steak, like the stuff that tastes good. And again, the stuff that does, okay, the bloomin' onion does not have a lot of nutrients in it, but like the steak, it's got nutrients, but like it comes with a lot of baggage. Salads and the fried, whatever, the spinach dip. Yeah, the spinach has the nutrients, but it comes with a lot of baggage. So, but I felt myself last night being like, should I rejoin Facebook? And it really gave me pause, because it doesn't, and I've always seen my social media addiction as being very different from my alcohol addiction. Because like the alcohol addiction was just purely destructive. And it was like 90% destructive, 10% constructive and creative. Because like, yes, it enabled some social interactions, but not, like, the downside of drinking was just way too much. But with social media, I'm like, I don't know, man. It's really hard for me to say that social media was bad for me, especially now that I don't have it in my life, because I'm like, oh shit, for the amount of calories that I need to function and to really function, I'm like, forgetting the quality of the calories. Let's look at the number of calories that I need. It's not enough. It's not enough without some sort of digital thing. I haven't rejoined it yet. I probably won't. I probably won't. It's incredibly unlikely that I will. There almost is. I want to say that there's basically a 0% chance of me reactivating my old profile. I would say that there's a 4% chance of me getting back on some kind of social media. Again, because I'm like, it's going to Outback Steakhouse, and the amount of discipline it would require exceeds the amount of discipline that I have. And as we all know, talking to James Clear, talking to anybody, the Rob Lowe has talked about this. A lot of people who have studied addiction have talked about this. Is that discipline isn't the end. Like, your discipline will fail. At some point, your discipline will just fail. And it's about building the habit and the sustainable habit that will keep you going. And I'm like, like I can definitely see where rejoining social media is probably not a great choice for me. But I need to acknowledge the reality that I am at least a 900 calorie deficit, at least. And to be honest, if I'm trying to build muscle and like really maintain the muscles that I have and use them well, it might even be more of a deficit, right? And so I bring all of this up because I think that to me feels like a really important way to look at our saviors. Because if we operate under the premise of we are genetically wired to need the human needs in a certain order, right? We need some kind of like, okay, so for me, so I'm blast, play, consume, sleep, right? That is the order of my animals. And I know the reason that I like to use the animals for me is because I'm a glass lizard. I'm single activated on my NI. I'm double activated on my TE. If we're going just by activations or what order, again, for me, it gets messy. So I'm like, okay, I have the need. My top two human needs are definitely tribe connection, feeling of community, feeling of collaboration. That's like very, very high on the list. And then, probably then control is probably second in a lot of ways. The feeling of certainty aligned with that tribe connection. But also, I need a lot of variety. Right, I'm double activated on my play, my ST play. So I need not only variety, but I need variety in a very practical, tangible way. And, after that, doing the consume and sleep. Now, again, I can't ignore it, right? I'm just going to use the 2,000 calorie diet because it's wrong, but that's what we use in America. So I'm just going to say 2,000, right? I can't have 2,000 calories. So like for me, I know that like fat and protein, my body processes both of those incredibly well, right? So if I have, I can't have 2,000 calories of just chicken thighs. That's not good, right? But if I have, let's say 1,000 or 1,100 of my calories are protein and fat, and then 900 calories are vegetables, right? That's pretty good, right? So I don't need. I talked about this with V. I don't need a lot of consume and sleep to function at my best. I don't need that much. In the same way, I don't need a lot of carbohydrates to function at my best. I just don't. And I have learned, am learning. Water's so good. I have learned and am learning that if I have, like, when I'm feeling down, when I'm, not feeling great and I need some comfort food and I need some whatever, I have learned over time that carbs are not the answer. They do not make me feel better in the moment. They do not make me feel better afterward, and I overeat them. So I've learned over time, and I actually sort of just like locked this in the other day, that like my indulgence food is fried chicken. Oh my God. I love fried chicken. I was about to say that I love fried chicken more than kitties. That's really tough. Which do I love more, fried chicken or kitties? I don't know. Because, like, I love kitties, but I also love fried chicken. That's tough. That's tough. I'm going to have to think about that. But I remember the other day, I almost got into a car wreck that was legitimately not my fault. This woman deliberately cut me off and then deliberately slammed on her brakes because she was mad at me because I stopped at a yellow light earlier and she didn't like that. And so she deliberately cut me off and was very aggressive. And I was like, I did nope. So I got some fried chicken and I felt amazing. And I bring that up because I'm like, okay, if I had gotten a bowl of pasta, I would have just felt like shit. I would have felt like shit eating it. Again, I don't like eating pasta. Every time I have a bite of a carb that isn't rice, and specifically that isn't rice with a lot of shit in it, right? If it's not like, if it doesn't have a lot of oil or butter or sauce, or if I'm not eating like rice with an egg stirred in it, right? If I just eat like, I just don't, my body doesn't like it. It rejects it. And so that's really good to know, that my body doesn't need or want that much in terms of carbohydrates, and especially grain. But it needs some. So I've learned to steer towards vegetables, but the indulgence, I get the fried chicken because for whatever reason, I can have like, a chicken thigh, a thigh and a leg, and like, I just feel great. I'm like, yes, this is what I want. This is what I need. This is what we're fucking doing. And I think it's really important to know. And as that, relates to the savior thing, the fact that I need more social variety and social interaction than maybe someone with lead consume, or, even someone who's consume play, or a lead sleep, cool. That is fine. The onus is on me to get my needs met in as healthy a way as possible. And so I had this real moment yesterday of clarity, and it felt very much like releasing a lot of shame around how much social interaction I need and how much social variety I need to really feel like a person, and to feel engaged, and to feel energized, and to feel my best. And I think that it's so important for you to know that for yourself. And because nobody is wired to need a perfect match of all four. That isn't how bodies work. Even if you're a glass lizard like me, where I'm like, I am maybe slightly more balanced in terms of needing certainty and uncertainty, certainly for an observer. I definitely need more tribe connection than most observers need. I don't need a ton of alone. time, but the alone time that I do need needs to be like bat cave alone time. It's again, I'm still working it out. I'm still figuring out sort of my optimal energy. But I think I think we have to start to look at our wiring as a blessing. And that's really what I want the takeaway from this to be. Is I think it's so important that we look at who we are as a blessing. And as like, oh my God, this is what I need to thrive. Amazing. And being really honest with, because here's the thing, we all need some amount of protein. We all need some amount of fat. We all need some amount of carbohydrates. And just to make the four, or I'm going to say junk food, some amount of junk food, right? So no, that doesn't work. So we're going to strip it down from 4 to 3, right? We're just looking at the 3 macros, right? Protein, fat, carbohydrates, right? The fact that I need more protein than somebody else is not a referendum on me. And it really doesn't mean, oh, well, you need more protein, therefore you're inclined to never eat carbohydrates and vegetables. Therefore, you should, really ride that struggle bus and train your body to need vegetables more. That is a recipe for disaster. That to me is just as dangerous as overdoing it on the protein. The healthy way to look at it, I believe, is to go, okay, yes, I need, again, these are simple numbers. 45% of my diet has to be protein. And then, I don't know, let's say 40% has to be protein, 40%, 30% has to be fat, and 30% has to be vegetables. Again, very simple numbers. I don't know if this is true, but I know that I need more protein than fat and vegetables. And I know that I need approximately the same amount of fat and vegetables, right? So I have a responsibility to honor that. I really do. And it doesn't mean that I can get away with having 10% vegetables, but it also means that like once I get above like 40% vegetables, that's not good either. And right now, I feel like my nutritional palate is, first off, again, I'm definitely not, like, maybe I'm getting the ratio right of like 40% protein, 30% fat, 30% vegetables, maybe. But again, the quantity of calories that I'm eating is still too low. And that needs to change. And I think it's okay that needs to change, because it's my analysis is not coming from a place of fear or lack or want. It's coming from a place of the universe is abundant. I have access to every resource I could ever possibly need. So what do I need? Right? And being very honest and critical about what it is that I need. Without any shame, without any guilt, without any judgment inherent in that, going, you know what? I got the macros right. And it's certainly in a lot of ways better than what I was getting being on social media. Because not only was I way overeating, my macros were all off. There I was, getting a lot of fat and a lot of protein and not nearly enough vegetables. And so now that I have the macros right, I'm like, okay, that's good. but I'm still getting half the calories in general that I need to really function. So all of this is to say, your saviors are a blessing. Your demons are a blessing. Who you are is fundamentally a blessing. It's extraordinary. We are all extraordinary beings by virtue of the fact that we exist. We don't need to do anything more than simply exist and honor our needs in the healthiest way possible. And be really honest about what those needs are and not feel like it's one thing to meet your needs in an unhealthy way, right? But simply having those needs, I don't believe, is in and of itself unhealthy. And that's what I really want to make clear. And that's really the intention I want to bring into this is really the rest of summer for myself, but I hope that you do too, is this feeling of, having these needs is not wrong. It is not bad. It is not something that needs to be fixed. How I get those needs met, that is where I really want to put my energy and my intention, because that's where I can really leverage doing something in a healthy way versus doing it in a way that is destructive and will ultimately cause me to crash and burn. All right, that's all I got for today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. As always, I love you. I see you. Now let's do the damn thing.